Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm going to show you how to start glazing your pots. So you get a pot out of the bisque and it looks like this. It's kind of hard, but it's also very porous still. So you can put glaze on it and it'll stick. What you want to do first is to wipe it down with a damp sponge, not too wet, but you want to wipe it down so that you don't have dust on it. Dust will keep the glaze from sticking to the pot. So you wipe down very lightly but firmly each piece. And as you can see, it dries pretty quickly because it's absorbed all that water. Then you want to wax the bottom. You want to wax the bottom because if you have glaze on the bottom of your pot and you put it on the shelf and you put it in the kiln, it will stick to the kiln permanently. So, to the kiln shelf. So you want to put a little wax on, and you really only need to put it on the base, the base and a little way up the sides. Yes, the dangers of using wax are that you can drip it on a part of the pot that you don't want to get waxed. If you put wax on, the glaze will not stick to the pot anywhere. So if I ended up dropping some wax here, you would have a nice little empty spot from the glaze. You want to cover this pretty well, but you also want to put it up a little way, you can see, so that the glaze doesn't drip down from your pot. And you also need to let it dry. The wax needs to dry, because if it isn't dry, the glaze will stick to the wax. What you need to do after you've waxed and glazed your pot is to wipe the wax off. So we pick a glaze. This is ice blue Celadon, and we always stir it up. You can see that the glaze has a lot of water on top and it's really thick down underneath. So we want to stir it completely. We don't want to just stir it a little bit and then have some of it look like this and then the rest of it's water. So we actually need to stir very completely all the bottom part. And sometimes this can take a long time because a glaze can be sitting for a while and you come in and you can't see lumps on there. So it's almost ready. Go up and down. Make sure there's no thick glaze on the bottom of the bucket. That looks pretty good. So I usually test. You can see my fingernail barely, but that's a good thickness. So I haven't waxed the bottom of this, but I'm going to dip it in the glaze and bring it back out. So I've wiped it clean, and I'm going to hold it on the foot and one finger on the rim, and just, it's not a long time that you have to hold it in there. So you can see, there are little marks in here that you can see through the glaze, but it's thick. You don't want a very thin layer of glaze, but you also don't want a second layer of glaze because that can run off the pot. You want to think about putting it down. It's still damp. And this little mark here is my thumb. And you can do one of two things. You can either use your finger with a little glaze and tap it on, or you could use a paintbrush and just cover it over. So, let's see, I don't know. Yeah, it's okay. So this one I didn't wax. This one I did. I'm still waiting for the wax to dry. You can still see it shine. So that'll take a while. But this one, I didn't wax. And you can see that the foot has glaze all over it. Now the solution to that is just to wipe it off. It comes off quite easily, just like that. The inside of the foot, right there, can be glazed, or you can leave it unglazed. You could wipe it clean. But the test for that is if you can leave it glazed like this, but if this point here on the foot if it touches something, touches your brush there at any point, it will also stick to the shelf of the kiln. So you want to make sure that if you leave glaze on the inside of the foot, you make sure that it is low enough, the foot keeps it above the shelf of the kiln. So that's clean. You want to keep it up away from the very bottom, and then you just let it dry. So I'm going to glaze this one. It has wax on the bottom, and I'm using tongs. So you can see it holds it two little points, and I'm going to dip it in and pull it out. First of all, I'm going to re-stir the glaze because glazes settle, and you definitely want to keep re-stirring the glaze. No big thicknesses there. So I'm going to dip it in and pull it out. Now you can see that the wax has pulled away, has made the glaze pull away from it. But there's still glaze right there, and there's glaze in the middle. It doesn't look wonderful. I'm going to put this down, and we'll look at this in a minute. There are two little marks on the outside and two little marks on the inside. You can wait till the glaze gets totally dry and just rub it in. Depends on lots of things. But I'm going to show you what happens with the wax. So you can see there's wax right there. All the way around, there's glaze sitting on top of it. You have to get rid of that. So, and you'll see that it comes off pretty easily, sort of. And if you want to be really, really, really safe, you remove this glaze. Just remove it. And that will be a safe amount. Okay, see?